everyone, Ryan Lilly here with Old Town, reporting live from the Bassmaster Kayak Championship Kayak Angler Registration in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. We're at 10 Killer Lake this week where 164 anglers are competing for the blue coveted Bassmaster Trophy, of which we have 7 Old Town team anglers competing for the championship title. We are super excited about this week. The anglers have been pre-fishing for the last several days. We've had some interesting weather to battle as they've tried to figure out patterns going into the competition, but luckily the weather is going to turn around. Things should get interesting during this competition, and we're really excited to see how it unfolds. The 7 anglers representing us in the tournament this week are Garrett Morgan, Casey Reid, Jim Davis, Alan Sweat, Anthony Garcia, Roy Grubb, and Dale Griffin, and we will bring them in and talk to them momentarily. But first, I'd love to talk to you about 10 Killer. It's an awesome lake. It's a reservoir lake that is formed by damming up the Illinois River in eastern Oklahoma. It's 35 miles long, 12,900 acres big, with 130 miles of shoreline, so a lot of territory to cover, especially in a kayak. And with all these anglers out there, there's still so much left to find, and we should see that play out throughout this week. It is a beautiful lake that features a lot of fish species, but the fish that are qualified or are in bounds, if you will, for the competition are black bass species, of which in this lake are largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. As I had mentioned earlier, the weather has played a little bit of a trick on all the anglers as they're preparing and trying to pattern what's happening on the lake. It is pre-spawn. The last few weeks has seen some hot weather here, which started to warm up some of the activity, but going into the pre-fish, the patterns really shifted and things slowed down a lot with some cold fronts that moved and pushed through, some high winds that have made patterning fish really, really tricky. The winds have been blustery. Today we saw winds out of the north, with some whitecap conditions out there. So really the anglers that are fishing out of motorized and pedal kayaks or EPDL kayaks have an advantage as they battle through those conditions to get from spot to spot to try to put together a game plan going into the competition. We will see the weather warm slightly. Tomorrow is supposed to be a bit warmer. The winds are going to shift out of the southwest, and it is going to bring in some warmer weather. And then we're going to see a little bit of scattered rain showers on Thursday. So with the warming weather and with the pattern changing, we should see some fish action happen tomorrow. We're really excited to see, the game plan that these anglers have been working on come to fruition over the next few days. So I'd like to bring in our first angler, Garrett Morgan, one of our pro team guys out of Conway, Arkansas. You're not too far from home. Have you fished this lake before?
I fished it one other time. I think it was an All-American Kayak Series when they first got started. Fishing a lot different than it did in that event. Different time of year too.
Awesome. And what's your confidence level after trying to put together a game plan the last few days?
Man, I found a little something. It's just so unique and so particular. I'm feeling really confident. I'm not having a problem catching fish. I've caught several big fish. I've caught both smallmouth and largemouth. So looking forward to the next 2 days. I really don't think the weather can really hurt what I'm doing for the most part. So looking forward to it.
Now, what are you fishing out of for a kayak for this competition?
I brought both. I brought the EPDL and the autopilot, but I think I'm going to go with the autopilot just because of the gust of winds that we have throughout the course of the day. This lake runs north to south. It's pretty narrow lake, so if the wind kicks up, it can move you around pretty good. Although I was kind of in between because I'm running spot to spot to spot, and that EPDL, is good for that. So either way, I don't think I could have went wrong, but I'm just really wanting that spot lock for this event.
Well, good luck. We're looking forward to tracking how you do over the next few days, and we'll be hearing more from Garrett over the next day or two. So good luck.
All right, thanks.
Yep, take care. All right, next up, Casey Reid out of Virginia. He's no stranger. You all are familiar with Casey and this beautiful face over here. Casey, see. In all seriousness, how are you approaching this tournament? What have you been trying to do and develop as a game plan without giving away any of your trade secrets? How are you approaching this tournament?
Well, I started off fishing shallow and caught some fish. Then the weather changed and the water kind of changed a little bit, and I wasn't able to continue that pattern on. I've tried everything, deep, shallow. I'm not really on a whole lot, but a lot of times that can be good. I can going into the tournament just not having any thoughts in mind and just going to go out there and fish the conditions.
Now, you blanket the country and you're fishing tournaments all over. Is there anything unique about this body of water and how you're approaching it, compared to some of the other tournament lakes that you've hit?
I mean, there's nothing too unique about this. It's pretty deep and pretty clear. So that's something that I haven't been focusing on over the past few years. So it's definitely good to get back to fishing some clear water. But like I said, I've been struggling. So we'll see how it goes.
And you've got one of the most tricked out autopilots that I've seen. Can you talk a little bit about that setup and how you plan to leverage it over the next few days?
Yeah. So the Humminbird electronics that I have on there, I have two Solix 12s that I put on there this year. The bigger screens are absolutely awesome. I mean, you can see so much with it, and using the Live and the 360 are just really beneficial.
That's great. Well, we look forward to seeing you. The last question, do you have any predictions outside of our team? Who do you think is the angler to beat at this tournament?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that. I don't know. I was just trying to think of how many inches it was going to take to win, and I'm thinking it's going to be probably right around 92 a day. Hopefully Garrett wins this thing, though.
Yeah, he's feeling pretty good, so we'll have to see. But hey, thanks, and we'll be seeing more of you over the next few days.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, next up we got Jim Davis, hailing from Tennessee. And just a reminder, you might recognize Jim. He, won the inaugural Bassmaster Kayak event back in 2020, and so you've had some success on this trail in the past. And would love to know, what your confidence level is, and what sort of pattern you got into over the last few days.
Well, I haven't fished here before, but the lake kind of reminds me of Table Rock over in Missouri, so I'm going to fish here like I would there. I found fish this morning. I hadn't had a lot of pre-fishing, but found fish this morning, and I think I can catch fish. Just not sure how big and how many I can get. But.
Now, you're one of the anglers on our team that's competing out of an EPDL for this tournament. Would love to know how you're going to leverage that kayak platform to your advantage over the next few days.
Well, the first place I'm going to start is quite a trip from the ramp, so the EPDL's pretty fast and it'll get me there pretty quick. Also, I found out that the batteries last quite a while on those things, so I can go probably 12 to 15 miles wide open on one battery, so I think it'll be an advantage.
Awesome. Now, do you have any predictions? Who's the angler to beat at this tournament this week?
Well, Garrett sounds really confident. He's on fish, and even if he doesn't tell you, he's on fish. But I've seen a couple other guys that I know are big sticks, and there's several people to watch out for.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jim. We'll be hearing more from Jim as well. Good luck, and we'll see you out on the water tomorrow. All right, next up, we got Anthony Garcia coming all the way over from California. Anthony is on our pro staff and is no stranger to the national tournament scene. Hey, good to see you, Anthony. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Glad to be here.
So I'd love to know a little bit about how your pre-fish went and maybe a sneak peek at what we can expect out of you the next couple days.
The pre-fish started pretty rough, and then as the days progressed, started to figure a little something out. It's definitely going to be a grind, I think, to get those bigger fish that we're going to need. I think the quantity is there. It's just getting that quality bite is going to be tough.
Now, you've been fishing out of the autopilot for a few years now. How are you leveraging that platform given the windy conditions and what you're figuring out for activity with fish?
It's definitely a live scope lake. I'm gonna be relying on live scope quite a bit. And having that spot lock is amazing. And I have that arm that I could spot lock and then face my transducer wherever I want. So it handles the wind, and that's all we need with with motors and kayaks. kayak. So as long as it keeps me in that spot that I need to be in, it's going to be great.
Now, I think you were saying today that you drove 23 hours to get here. You know, how far have you driven for a tournament? Is this pretty standard for you, or is this, you know?
Yeah, living out of California, I mean, basically everything's a drive. This is, I think, the farthest I've driven in hours. I did drive to Florida last year, but I think I did it in less hours just because of traffic and wind conditions. I mean, weather conditions on this trip. I kind of had to extend the drive out a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty standard for anybody on the West Coast, Arizona or California. We got those long drives.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you out on the lake in the next few days. You can track all these anglers' performance on Tourney X throughout the competition starting tomorrow morning. Lines in is at 7 a.m. and lines out is at 3 p.m. So if you want to track the progress of any of these guys, you can head on over to Tourney X and follow along over the next 2 days. They do shut the tournament tracking off at about 1 to 2 p.m. On day 2, so it will go blind on the last day. It just adds to the drama, and you know, we won't know who's top 10 until Thursday afternoon or evening rather, and we hope to report back to you who the top 10 is after the second day of the tournament at about 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, Dale Griffin, I would love to call you in next. Dale hails from Texas, another stick that fishes on our team. You know, would love to know, you know, coming into an event like this is the championship for Bassmaster. It's kind of a big deal. Everybody loves to get up on that stage. It's just kind of the gold standard in tournaments in general, but kayak fishing tournaments as well. How, you know, what sort of mental prep do you know, go through in order to prepare for this sort of event?
I mean, really, like, luckily in Texas, I have a ton of great anglers that I already fish against, so it helps boost your confidence. Like, you can draw back to certain events and be like, okay, like, I can compete. I've beaten these people before at these events, so that's a huge, like, bonus for me. Like, I get to compete against phenomenal anglers on my local trails.
Yeah. Now, being from Texas, you don't encounter smallmouth probably all too often in your home state. So, you know, how does that change how you approach a lake that is known for having substantial, you know, populations and size smallmouth?
Yeah, I mean, for pre-fishing, I tried to look for some smallmouth, and then I found stuff I was comfortable with, which was shallow largemouth. So, I mean, really, I tried to give the smallmouth a chance, but the largemouth showed themselves, so that's the route I'm going to try to go.
Leaning right into your strengths. That's awesome. Now, what will be key, you know, for performing in the tricky conditions that we find ourselves in this week?
For me, it's just going to be covering water, presenting multiple types of presentations, just continuously hitting the same stretches and just trying to change it up on them and trick one more fish each time I go through.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you out on the water the next couple days. Thank you so much, Dale, and good luck to you. Roy Grubb, hailing from Conway, Arkansas. He's a neighbor of Garrett over in the neighboring state of Arkansas. You know, you're not too far from here. I know Garrett said that he's only fished this lake twice. How often have you been out on this body of water?
I've fished one tournament here, and that was that same AKS that Garrett fished, and we had a pretty good tournament, and we were already prepared, I think, for the areas that we're going to fish in because of that. But
are you finding that patterns are similar to when you fished that event?
Really, not at all. I struggled for a little bit when I got here in the first day of practice, but I started figuring out a technique and a bite about 3 or 4 hours in. And then the rest of the day, I had quite a few bites that seemed like they were big bites. I haven't been hooking everything. I've been letting them off the hook, but they've been pulling my bait all the way down the hook. So I'm pretty confident about what I'm on. I just don't know how many that I'm going to come across. I'm really going to have to cover some water tomorrow.
Now, you know, rough numbers, how many miles do you think you'll cover on average each day of the tournament?
I would expect to cover at least 8 miles, because one point that I really want to fish is about 4 miles out, and that might be the furthest point.
That's incredible. And, you know, as a rule, you can use all public boat ramps within the tournament area on the lake. There's a lot of strategy that probably goes into play, and where you park and, you know, where you launch from and to get to some of these spots. You know, is that a major factor for you in this tournament?
Well, it has been so far, just because of the wind factor. So the ramp that I've chose and I'll probably stick with is the most out of the wind, especially just putting out and bringing in. And then there's a good length of stretch there that doesn't have a lot of wind, but it changed my bite today. So tomorrow is just going to be kind of hope they're where I expect them to be, and if not, we'll start traveling.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you, Roy. We look forward to tracking you over the next couple of days, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We were 12th in this thing last year, so
Yeah, you were 12th last year, so you were
12th last year, so we've been thinking about it every day since. So we're going to go see what we can do.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you. All right, and lastly, I want to call in Alan Sweat. We saw Alan yesterday as we announced our Fire Tiger. You've got the flashiest, coolest looking kayak out on the water. You know, how did your day go today?
It went great. I had people taking pictures of it at the ramp this morning, so it started off great. So no, it went okay. I mean, you know, it's been tough. I mean, this Florida boy out of the warm weather and in the cold here is like, you know, it's been a little tough, but you know, we'll have to see how it goes. I've got a plan. I may end up having to move during the day. Sort of got that part of my plan. But
I got to say, you know, living in Florida and fishing largemouth predominantly in shallow, murky water, it's got to take a little bit of extra effort out of someone that's used to those sorts of conditions to figure out a deep water smallmouth lake.
Absolutely, it does. I mean, it takes a whole retooling of your tackle, you know, organizing tackle. You come to these tournaments, you have to basically organize and figure out what you're going to need. And, you know, last night I was going through redoing everything because what I wanted to do is just not going to happen. I think we've actually missed the lake for what I wanted here by a couple of weeks. You know, it's you know, I would like to have seen more of a spawn pushing.
Right. Now, from first day of pre-fish to today, how much has your game plan changed from when you started pre-fishing, what you thought you were going to do to what you're going to do tomorrow?
100%, 180. I mean, I'm doing the complete opposite. So, yeah, we'll just have to see. I mean, it's not probably playing into a confidence zone, but then again, sometimes bad practices can end up in really good tournaments. I've had that happen before too. So, sort of
adds to the drama, right? Exactly.
It adds to the drama. You know, I mean, it's Bassmaster. It's the big stage. You know,
Yeah.
it means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good luck. We'll look for you on the lake tomorrow. We'll check in with you tomorrow night, and good luck out there, and get a good night's sleep. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. Just a reminder, you can track all of our anglers and the entire competition at Tourney X over the next 2 days. It's really fun to log in and hit refresh every hour on the hour just to see those standings change. It's a really exciting sport to follow along with, and Tourney X does a phenomenal job of keeping the standings up to date in a live fashion. So make sure you check out Tourney X, follow our team, follow the rest of the field. I think, you know, there's going to be some surprises that come out of the conditions that these anglers are faced with this week in 10 Killer. You know, if you want to follow along with our lives, we are going to come live with our team again tomorrow around the same time tomorrow evening to recap and see how their day was, and then we'll do it again on Thursday once we know who the top 10 is. So we have an exciting couple of days of coverage for you, so make sure you continue to tune in. And just a reminder, we did announce our new colorway in autopilot called Fire Tiger. It's now available at a retailer near you. You can find a retailer near you at oldtownwatercraft.com. And if you're in the Tulsa area, we would love to meet you. Swing on by to our booth number 214 at the Cox Business Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The expo starts on Friday and goes through Sunday. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.